And welcome. Today we will be looking at utility. So we all know that the purpose of consuming certain goods is to satisfy our wants. But how satisfied are we by consuming a beer or a block of chocolate or a block of fudge or a plate of food? What is our level of satisfaction? Now, that is what utility is. Utility measures your satisfaction for a certain good that you consumed. Now, it is important to know that utility is subjective. It differs from person to person. For me, I get extremely satisfied when I consume chocolates, for example, while you would rather consume maybe a beer and not necessarily a chocolate. So it differs. Now, in economics, you can measure utility. There's two ways you can do this. You can do it a cardinal way. Now, cardinal utility is where you put values to certain goods and services. So when you consume, for instance, a beer, you would say, right, that first beer will give me a value of 120 utils, where the second beer will give me 100 utils. It's not as nice as that first cold one. With ordinal utility, you rank it. So first you will get the most satisfaction out of a beer, then a chocolate, and then a glass of whiskey. So that's what utility is. So it measures your satisfaction. Now, utility can be expressed in two ways also. You can get your marginal utility and your total utility. Now, marginal utility is the total of your marginal utility is that one additional piece of chocolate that you gain, that additional utility that you gain eating that extra block of chocolate. Where total utility is the sum of all your marginal utilities. So look at this table, for instance. We have apples consumed. So you have your number of apples consumed. Then you have your marginal utility. So it's the utility you gain out of the additional consumption of one extra apple. And then your total utility, which is the sum of your marginal utility. I want to focus your attention on the marginal utility column. Can you see that marginal utility decreases? It's to zero and then it decreases. Now, this zero means that your utility is maximized, and you can see it when looking at total utility. This is where total utility is at a maximum. This is where your marginal utility will be zero. This means that your utility can't get higher than this. Afterwards, you reach a point, you call it when it goes into the negative disutility. This is where, ladies, we ate too much chocolate and then we said, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have ate that extra chocolate slab or that extra block of chocolates. I'm now nauseous. And guys, the next morning when you wake up and you phone your buddy and you tell him, listen, never in my life I'm going to drink again. You went over the threshold. You reached this utility. So this is what this means. Now I'm just going to show you on the next table how to calculate the total utility. Now total utility is calculated as the sum of your marginal utilities. So with the first quantity, marginal utility and total utility will always be the same. So if you take this 50, the total utility, plus your 35 marginal utility, you get 85. 85 plus 29 is 114. 114 plus 18 is that 132. 132 plus 12 equals 144. 144 plus 6 is 150. Okay. And then your marginal utility is the difference between your total utility divided by your quantity. So if we take this 85 and we subtract 50, gives us 35. 35 divided by 2 minus 1 is 1. So 35 divided by 1 is 35. 114 minus 85 divided by 3 minus 2 is 1. So 29 divided by 1 is 29. So that's how you determine that. So let me just introduce you to this table. I will always ask you to complete a utility table for me. So let me just run through the table. So you will have your income. Income will always be specified with a certain amount. So that is the income that you have to your disposal to buy the following goods. In this case, it's sausage, wine, and bread. So for sausage, have 1 rand a piece, and then you have the marginal utility for sausage, total utility for sausage, and then you have this what we call weighted marginal utility. That is your marginal utility divided by the price of that product. Then you have wine, marginal utility for wine, total utility for wine, and then marginal utility divided by price, which is your weighted marginal utility for wine. And then you have the for bread, marginal utility, total utility, and then your marginal utility divided by the price for bread. So here we have then the table that we can complete. So I'm going to go very slowly through this with you in order to show you how to calculate the tables. So here's the table. So let's start with the first one. So you have the one for sausage. So as I said, the total utility and marginal utility for the first unit will always be the same. Then you have your weighted marginal utility, which means it is the marginal utility divided by the price. So 54 divided by 1 is 54. Then you have total utility. So 54 plus 48 will give you 102. The weighted marginal utility is 48 divided by the price of the product is 1, it's 48. For marginal utility, you say marginal utility is the change in total utility divided by the change in your quantity. So you will have 144 minus 102 divided by 3 minus 2. So 144 minus 102 divided by the change, which is 1, that gives you 42. 42 divided by 1 is 42. So now let's go to the second one. For wine, for 3 rand for 3 drops, you have marginal utility. It's the same with the first unit. So 90 divided by 3 is 30. Marginal utility, the change in total utility divided by the change in quantity. So 171 minus 90 divided by 2 minus 1. That gives you 81. 81 divided by 3 will give you 27. Total utility, 171 plus 72 gives you 243. Marginal utility divided by price, your weighted marginal utility, what do? You say 72 divided by the price of the product, 3, and that gives you 24. For the last one, you have your marginal utility and total utility, but now you have nothing there, you only have your weighted marginal utility. So you take the 33 times the product price, the 2, so 33 times 2 will give you 66, and that is your marginal utility. For the same for the first unit. Weighted marginal utility, you say 60 divided by 2 is 30. 27 times 2 gives me 54. That is your utility. Your total utility is 126 plus 54 gives you 180. And so you go on completing the table. So if you're finished, it looks something like this. So you have then the 3 different products. So let's just see here, what do I mean when you need this weighted marginal utility column, that marginal utility divided by the price? Why do you need that? Because you need to determine what is the best use you can have for your income, which is 12 rand. What is the maximum amount of utility satisfaction you can get from this producing for consuming different goods given your income? So now you have completed the whole table. What you need to go do now is you need to go determine where is all the weighted marginal utilities for all 3 of the products the same. So here we can say there's a 30, a 30, and a 30, and a 24, and a 24, and a 24, and a 18, and a 18, and a 18, and a 12, and a 12, and a 12, and a 6, and a 6, and a 6. Now you need to additionally determine whether it fits with your income. It needs to add up to 12 rand. So if you say here, let's take the 6s for example. Here it was at quantity 9. So 9 units times 1 is 9 rand. 9 times 3 is 27. That's already far over 12 rand, so it's not that combination. Let's take the 18. 7 times 1 is 7. Yeah, 5 times 3 is 15. It's already over the income. It can't be that unit. So you need to eliminate all the combinations that does not fit in with your income. So let's take this one, the 30. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 3 is 1. And 2 times 2 is 4. And that adds up to 12. So that is your combination. You will consume 5 units of the one product, 1 unit of the second product, and 2 units of the third product in order to get your basket of goods that fits with your income. And you look at where all your weighted marginal utilities for the different products equals the same. That's why you calculate your weighted marginal utility. That was utility.